What if I told you the Cleveland Browns just paid $100 million for the privilege of breaking up with their own city? In Cleveland, football is a religion, but by 2026, that faith is facing a $2.6 billion crisis. While the rest of the NFL builds futuristic palaces, the Browns are committing to the most expensive relocation in the city's history, and it's only 10 miles south. This is a story of billionaire owners, desperate politicians, and a high-stakes game of chicken over Cleveland's soul. Welcome to the inside story of the Cleveland Stadium disaster. The Brook Park betrayal. For decades, the Browns have played on the shores of Lake Erie. It's cold, it's gray, and it's home. But to owners Jimmy and Dee Haslam, the current Huntington Bank field, which isn't even 30 years old, was a financial disaster waiting to happen. It lacks a roof, it lacks modern luxury suites, and most importantly, it lacks the ability to host the Final Four or a Taylor Swift concert in the dead of February. In late 2024, the Haslams dropped a bombshell on the city. They weren't going to accept Cleveland's $461 million offer to renovate the lakefront. Instead, they were moving south to the suburb of Brook Park to build a $2.6 billion domed super theater. The reaction from downtown Cleveland was nothing short of a total meltdown. Mayor Justin Bibb didn't just call it a disappointment, he essentially declared war. The city sued the team, invoking the model law, an obscure Ohio statute passed after Art Model famously moved the team to Baltimore in the 1990s. The law says you can't abandon a stadium built with tax dollars without giving the city a chance to buy the team. For over a year, the city and the team were locked in a legal death match. Cleveland argued that moving to Brook Park would gut the downtown economy, leaving bars, restaurants, and hotels in the shadows of a rotting, empty stadium. The Browns countersued, arguing they were private owners who could build wherever they wanted. Finally, in late 2025, a settlement was reached that sounds more like a celebrity divorce than a business deal. To get the city to drop the lawsuits and let them leave, the Browns agreed to a historic $100 million breakup fee. The $100 million exit fee. As we reach April 2026, the first $25 million check has already cleared the city's accounts, but the total $100 million commitment is staggering. Under the terms of the deal, the Browns are paying $30 million just to demolish their old home downtown, leaving the site as a pad-ready blank canvas for the city. On top of that, they are paying $45 million for lakefront development and $25 million for community projects spread across the next decade. Think about the sheer desperation of that math. The team is so determined to leave downtown that they are paying a 9-figure penalty just for the right to spend another $2.6 billion in the suburbs. This isn't just a move, it's an escape. And while the Haslam Sports Group has increased their personal investment to a record $1.76 billion, roughly 67.5% of the total cost, the rest of the money is coming from a source that has just landed the project in even deeper legal trouble. The $600 million court battle. By March 2026, a new disaster emerged that could derail the entire project. The Browns had been banking on $600 million from the state of Ohio, specifically pulled from a sports and culture facilities fund. But there's a catch. That money was coming from unclaimed funds, forgotten bank accounts, uncashed utility deposits, and lost cashier's checks belonging to Ohio taxpayers. A Franklin County magistrate just issued a preliminary injunction, blocking the team from touching a single cent of that $600 million. The lawsuit, filed on behalf of taxpayers, argues that using private citizens' forgotten money to build a stadium for a billionaire is unconstitutional. If the court rules against the state, the Haslams will be left with a $600 million hole in their budget. Despite the legal firestorm, excavation at the Brook Park site has already begun. Because the stadium sits directly in the flight path of Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, the FAA and ODOT forced a radical engineering choice. The stadium isn't being built up, it's being buried. Crews are currently digging a massive crater so the stadium can sit 80 feet below ground level. This sunken dome design ensures the 221-foot-high translucent roof won't interfere with radar or air navigation, but it adds hundreds of millions in excavation costs that are already pushing the project toward its $2.6 billion limit. The Super Theater gamble. So what does $2.6 billion actually buy the people of Northeast Ohio? The Haslams are calling it a transformative world-class experience, but critics are calling it a massive gamble on suburban sprawl. The project isn't just a stadium, it's a $1 billion mixed-use district featuring hotels, retail, and 5,400 permanent jobs. It is designed to be a city within a city that operates 365 days a year. But the disaster part of the equation lies in the infrastructure. Brook Park is a small suburb currently facing a $122 million bill for road upgrades, pedestrian bridges, and transit stations just to handle the influx of 70,000 fans. The suburb is banking on state grants to survive, and if the funding doesn't arrive, the world-class stadium will be surrounded by a permanent multi-billion-dollar traffic jam. As the official groundbreaking ceremony approaches on April 30th, 2026, the region is officially a house divided. Downtown Cleveland is trying to reinvent its identity without its biggest draw, while Brook Park is digging a 100-foot hole in the hopes of becoming the new center of the sporting world. We are witnessing a fundamental shift in how sports wealth dictates the geography of a city, and the fallout is just beginning. The $600 million unclaimed crisis. As construction crews rev their engines in April 2026, the financial blueprint for this project is finally coming into sharp focus, and it is already hitting a legal wall. The Haslam family recently increased their personal stake to an incredible $1.76 billion, covering roughly 67.5% of the total cost. This marks the largest private sports facility investment in American history, yet a massive $600 million gap has just landed the project in a Franklin County courtroom. The state of Ohio had planned to pull $600 million from a sports and culture facilities fund. But here's the catch: that money was coming from unclaimed funds, forgotten bank accounts, uncashed utility deposits, and lost checks belonging to Ohio taxpayers. In March 2026, a magistrate issued a preliminary injunction blocking the team from touching a single cent of it. The class action lawsuit argues that using citizens' forgotten money to fund a billionaire stadium is unconstitutional. If the court rules against the state, the Haslams will be left with a $600 million hole that they might have to fill with high-interest loans, pushing the disaster tag from a figure of speech into a literal balance sheet reality. The deep dig engineering nightmare. Despite the legal firestorm, the mass excavation at the Brook Park site officially began on March 2, 2026. This isn't your typical construction site. Because the stadium sits directly in the flight path of Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, the project has been forced into a radical and expensive compromise with the FAA. The stadium isn't being built up, it's being buried. Crews are currently digging a massive crater so that the field in the lower bowl can sit 80 feet below ground level. This sunken dome design ensures the 221-foot-high translucent roof won't interfere with radar or air navigation, but it adds hundreds of millions in excavation costs. While this solves the airport's safety concerns, it creates a massive logistical hurdle for the Brook Park suburb, which now has to integrate a multi-billion-dollar hole in the ground into its local infrastructure. The suburban infrastructure trap. The real disaster for the local residents might not be the stadium itself, but the roads leading to it. Brook Park, a small suburb, is currently staring down an $82 million bill for road upgrades and pedestrian bridges. The city is banking on $70 million in state funding to fix the spaghetti of highway interchanges at Snow Road and Interstate 71. Without this funding, the 67,500-seat Super Theater will be surrounded by a permanent traffic jam. The plan calls for 13,000 parking spaces and a new $40 million transit station, but the sheer volume of 70,000 fans descending on a small airport-adjacent town every Sunday and for year-round concerts could paralyze the region's transportation hub. Brook Park is gambling its economic future on the hope that the tax revenue from 5,400 new jobs will pay for these infrastructure nightmares before the city's credit rating takes a hit. The lakefront's new identity. While Brook Park digs down, downtown Cleveland is trying to move on. Mayor Justin Bibb's administration is using the first $25 million from the Brown settlement to fast-track a North Coast master plan. With the stadium's departure now a certainty, the city is shifting its focus toward a $600 million redevelopment that prioritizes recreation over rivalry. The city is currently studying the impact of closing Burke Lakefront Airport to create a 25-acre public park featuring a marina, RV campgrounds, and 7 miles of biking paths. The goal is to transform the lakefront into a year-round destination that isn't dependent on 8 football games a year. But the void left by the Browns remains a massive question mark. Will bars and hotels downtown survive the transition from Sunday game day revenue to Tuesday afternoon park revenue? It is a pivot that could take a decade to fully realize. The groundbreaking crossroads. On April 30th, 2026, Governor Mike DeWine and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell are scheduled to join the Haslams for the official groundbreaking ceremony. The panels will discuss the transformative power of the project, focusing on the fan experience and the economic boost. But as the gold shovels hit the dirt, the air in Northeast Ohio is thick with both excitement and anxiety. We are witnessing a region officially divided, a downtown trying to reinvent its soul without its biggest draw, and a suburb digging an 80-foot hole in the hopes of becoming the new center of the sporting world. The $100 million breakup fee has been paid, the excavation has started, and the countdown to the 2029 kickoff is officially on. Whether this move creates a global super theater or a multi-billion-dollar crater of debt, Cleveland will never look the same. Cleveland is at a crossroads, and the stakes couldn't be higher. If you want to keep following the most expensive breakup in NFL history, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates as the super theater takes shape. What do you think? Is a $2.6 billion sunken dome in the suburbs worth the price, or should the Browns have stayed on the lakefront? Let us know in the comments below.